Welcome back, Gameaholics, to the Gameaholic podcast. This is Colin and Luke, and today we're going into the third edition of the Dark Picture Anthology. Yeah, there we got it.
There it is.
House of Ashes. This is the one starring Ashley Tisdale. If you guys grew up kind of similar to the same time we did, she was on Zack and Cody growing up, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, all that stuff. So she was the main focal point, as we talked about before, how like each game kind of has their like own big star.
Totally.
Yeah, so this is the one that kind of spotlighted her, even though she wasn't a super like pivotal character.
And
like she was kind of there.
I mean, I think she could have been the pivotal character though.
In some ways, in others.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Ashley Tisdale could have been the pivotal character, depending on how you played the game. Yeah. The funny thing is, I went into this so dialed because, like, as a 90s baby, I had the biggest crush on Ashley Tisdale growing up. Like, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I feel like she was one of my first crushes, period. Like, I was just like, oh my god, I love her.
Yeah.
Like, she was just... So obviously seeing her in this, in a way, was a bit of, like, nostalgia for me.
Yeah, but it was weird because she didn't really look like her.
I think she did. I think they did a really good job. The only thing about her that looked really weird was her chin to me.
Yeah, I kept looking at her like she looked like the girl from Man of Medan, the blonde. I'm like, oh, it's not her. It's actually Ashley Tisdale.
See, for me personally, I look at her like whenever I saw her, I knew it was her. I was just like, why does her chin look weird? I think for me, the chin was the big thing. But I also haven't seen Ashley Tisdale in anything recent at all.
Yeah, like 10 years probably.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe she does look like... Maybe that is her chin now.
Chubby. A little chubby in the face.
I mean, and like, who knows?
Yeah. So anyways, this game kind of takes place like more like back 20 years. Because normally every game's kind of been like, oh, this stuff happened in the past. Now we're going to the future, present day. While this one was past, and then it jumped into another past sequence where it started in Iraq in 2003.
Which so the whole point behind this obviously is we're talking about the Iraqi war. We're talking about after 9/11. Obviously, there's lots of references to 9/11 throughout the game.
Yeah.
And so they're really just setting the scene as to like this was pretty much 2 years after the towers were hit and 2 years after kind of all that happened, and this is them overseas fighting for that.
Yeah.
The game, so you said, and let's just jump right into this, you said this was your favorite game in the series.
I stand by that.
That's wild to me. Little Hope #1 for me still.
Still?
This game was really interesting because I think the difference is in Man of Medan and in Little Hope, and obviously in Until Dawn, everybody felt like they were very still out of their elements. Right? So the way I look at this is like, it's a bunch of teenagers in Until Hope, or Until Dawn. It's a bunch of divers in Man of Medan, and in, what's it called? It's a bunch of school kids. Like, everybody's so out of their elements. And don't get me wrong, in this game they are obviously out of their elements, but they come with fully loaded ARs. They come with all of this military expertise, military equipment, all this other stuff. And there's times where I'm sitting there and they're saying things, and I'm like, a normal person wouldn't say this, but then I stop and I say to myself, like, wait a second. A normal military person would say this, would think this, would go there.
Yeah, because they also have like their backgrounds in certain things, and they know terminology. They know, and a lot of them have like the technology side too, where they did software engineer stuff or something, and now they're using that and applying it in a military aspect.
like Eric.
Yeah, so like they know like how like everything's kind of ticks. They know like when you get down below and you start learning a bit more about what you're fighting, they can kind of break down or like grab things from certain articles or whatever. And it's a little different because the other people are like, oh, I'm learning information. While these people are like, oh, you're learning this and I'm also applying it to how I fight.
Like they're all great shots with a gun, right? Like they're all very good in the fights. Whereas like in the fights in the other ones, it was always just pure luck. That was the one thing though I think about like in the other games. Like some of the fights, like I was like thinking these people, I was like, how does this guy know how to fight like this? Like, how does this happen? Like these people shouldn't really know.
Yeah, like Little Hope, like the jockier dudes just fighting up.
But I mean, like, Little Hope is explained because they're not real.
I know.
So there is that aspect to it.
But there's a chance of him dying still.
Totally.
Yeah.
So speaking of dying, I'm very interested. So I know you kind of mentioned this to me. How many people lived? How many people died for you?
3. Everyone died, but like the three of the 5 playable characters died for me.
That is wild. On mine, only Eric died.
Yeah.
So
Eric died different for you and I though.
Eric died in the first hour of the game for me.
You will say though this game was the longest of the 3 too. It felt like, anyways.
You know what? I didn't think so.
I bet it was longer than Little Hope by a long shot.
Well, see, maybe that's
because Man of Medan, I felt it was the shortest one of the 3. I think, can we both agree, Man of Medan was probably the worst of the 3 games? Like, it doesn't even touch the other 2.
But it's also interesting because to me, Man of Medan, I guess it makes sense it's the worst one because they're still kind of finding their footing. Like, in terms of, like, that was kind of their first dark picture anthology.
Yeah, but also, like, they did have work on Until Dawn, and it was that's kind of a dud after Until Dawn. Even though it's a different publisher, but it's still the same developer.
Yeah, but I also think that, I don't know, maybe they're working with a smaller budget. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah. I guess if you think about it, Sony had like a way bigger budget, I assume.
Yeah, and I mean, like what, like, you know, the Quarry. I think the Quarry better rock our socks off in terms of like length, at least, is what I'm saying.
It's been pretty good
because you're playing it now, yeah. But it's like that's a good $80 game still. But even when House of Ash came out, it was $40, right? It was never $80 at launch.
Yeah.
So they know those games are going to be shorter.
Well, the nice thing is too, like I think the best part about these games is it's just like you're just kind of playing as a character. You're almost like just indicating your own movie and what's going to happen in a movie, because you're playing a horror movie essentially.
Yeah. And
you're watching a lot of it. I felt like House of Ash is the first hour you watch like the whole time.
Oh my god, 100%.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's listening to this and doesn't know, I've started picking up streaming. It's just plugging myself quickly here. So I've been streaming most of these games that we are currently talking about. So we went into House of Ashes, and that I streamed the entire thing. I streamed Stray as well. The username, I won't say it on here. It's a bit of a mouthful. But if you're interested in checking out my stream, go through our link tree, and I actually put it right in there as well. So you can see Luke's Twitch account, and you can catch whatever I'm playing at the time, which will be at the time this launches. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I guess it's like a couple weeks away, right? Yeah.
But as of right now, if you're watching live on Twitch, give me a follow on there. I'm gonna be playing Quarry tonight. Actually, I'm gonna start it up tonight.
I'm gonna watch.
I'm gonna start it up tonight. Quarry tonight. But yeah, so I played through this entire game on stream, and you're right, the first hour or so, I was kind of just sitting there, and I was like, everybody's just talking, like, I'm not moving around here. And talking more about how these guys are military, one of the things that blew me away about that I thought was, like, really, really well done, is honestly just the fact that, like, there was actually, like, intense combat sessions throughout this entire game. And I loved it. Like, you know, you were talking about, you said the game for you kind of pivots on one massive moment, and it's the fight in the catacomb, or in the sacrificial chamber.
I wouldn't even call it a fight, it was an assault.
Yeah, assault is the right word for that. And like, obviously, like, they're just going off in there, and like, that was so much fun. And like, one of the biggest game-changing moments in there, though, was in that assault. Because what it was as Salim, who we'll get into in a bit, he has the opportunity of shooting the vampire coming at him, or shooting the vampire on Ashley Tisdale. And if you pick yourself and protect yourself first, Ashley Tisdale will get infected with a parasite. But if you protect Ashley Tisdale, she lives at the end. So I don't think you can get that parasite out of her.
You can.
Oh.
If Eric stays alive. Because Eric knows how at that point to, like, basically shine his, like, light, and it shines his light on her, and it burns the parasite, and she, like, pukes it out. And like, you see it's like a worm alien thing.
I watched videos of that, because so this was probably the one game out of all of these, though, that I did some digging after the fact. Because the playthrough that I had, so Eric in my game died an hour in, right? He was dead so fast. And for me, I think we can tell by our conversations, that altered the complete playthrough for me. So I missed a ton of lore that you got. right? So, like, for example, I didn't actually learn in the game that the parasites and the vampires are alien species. I also never learned that where we were walking at the end was their spaceship that crashed millions of years ago into the Earth.
Yeah.
You knew all of that because you actually got, as Ashley Tisdale, as she was kind of freaking out from the worm, you got those visions and you got all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So that
it shows
was
the spaceship crashing to the Earth and everything.
And that's what I'm saying. For me, that was a huge miss. Like, just because Eric died at the beginning, I missed, like, a massive chunk of story.
Does the when you find the tapes, not the tapes, but like the old like notes,
the journals, yeah,
and that would go flashbacks.
Yeah.
Did it ever like specify how like what they were learning about? Like they learn about it a bit.
So here's what I knew. Here's all I knew. His wife. I forgot the explorer's name.
It means nothing to me, so you just doesn't care. So like Mary or some.
That's his wife's name.
Okay,
Dead on. I don't remember the explorer's name though, but like Mary gets infected, and I was reading into it, and I was seeing how Mary had a parasite in her. That was
Clark.
I don't think so.
Yes.
But like Mary had a parasite in her. And the whole thing was like, oh, Mary's like infected with this thing. She's like in trouble. She's not doing well. Like, what are we kind of gonna do here? And that was sort of where it was. And you found out there's a parasite. I knew a parasite existed, but I didn't know that it was an alien race that took over another alien race. You know, like I thought that the parasite was literally just some sort of underground parasite that, like, you know, turns you, like, gives you rabies almost, and then like, but like that's where I was also kind of confused, was because there was the vampires, but everybody that turned didn't turn to a vampire. They turned into that kind of cross between the two of them.
Yeah, like a reptile almost.
Yeah, like it had like the horns and like they were still very human-like.
And their skin was like kind of scaly.
Exactly. And it was like, so it was like Clarice that turns into that, Joey turns into that, like
Kumar or whatever.
No, it was I can't even, like, they're like whatever their names are.
The two ancient Egyptian guys.
And depending on which ancient Egyptian guy lives longer is the one that you see in your whole thing.
So the whole parasite came after, and they basically infected the vampires.
The parasite came from Earth. Like the parasite came from space, which to me at least I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the parasite came from space and from Earth.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept of the game, and I think the best part of this and why I really like, well, it's a little far-fetched for one, but
well, yeah, I mean, this
compared to the first two being like you don't know what you see basically, and then all of a sudden it turns out that there's a plot twist at the end. Well, there wasn't really a plot twist for this one. It's just like this is what it was.
Well, that's why it was interesting. Is like, so I'm gonna get low key kind of deep here for a second.
Okay. Clip it. Let's clip this right now.
I strongly believe that this whole, I strongly believe that this entire game is actually supposed to be like very similar to, we had Anthony last game in Little Hope, who was having like a fractured memory and going through an episode. I strongly believe that what this game was supposed to symbolize was PTSD through the war.
Really? Why?
So, because PTSD obviously can manifest itself in multitudes of ways, and not everybody's like, you know, like people obviously like will have flashbacks to war, have flashbacks to whatever. But like, I just felt that like this was supposed to be symbolic of them battling their own demons.
Yeah, I guess, but like they're also going through. It wasn't like in their head.
Oh, exactly. No, that's why I realized I was wrong.
Yeah, I remember you making the hot take on like the stream. Like this is all just Nick in his head.
I did. Would that not have been a good guess though?
Yeah, but if Nick died, it wouldn't have mattered. Because Nick could have died. But
every single one of them went through a traumatic experience. One thing I wish I learned more about, and maybe you did, was Ashley Tisdale and like
Eric
started casually talking about an accident
Oh.
in my game. They said it once. Oh, the accident was a while ago.
Oh, because they were talking about, like, their relationship?
No, but there's an accident, though.
That, like, changed them?
Yes. And Eric died too early for me to figure it out. So that's why I was like, okay, it seems like there's...
He died for me, too. Like, I didn't
It seems like there's a traumatic experience between the two of them.
Yep. Then Nick and Jason had, like, a traumatic experience. And Salim had his own as well.
Yeah. So that's... Do you not see why...
What was Salim's?
It was his son who's become... is a thief, right? Like...
Yeah, but that's not really traumatic for him.
No, but he's also, like, the war and everything like that. Like,
yeah,
not...
course.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he didn't really... I mean... When Salim and Jason have the conversation where they open up to each other,
the best part of the game,
which I think we should spend some time talking on. But like before we get there, like Salim's pretty much talking about how, you know, he's ruined that his son
steals.
Yeah, and
but
like
his son's smart and is going to like school for like something. He got accepted to a big school in London.
But he's really upset about it though.
Yeah, I know.
So I just feel like that could be something for him as well. Like to me, it seems like every single one of them in their own way is suffering with some sort of PTSD. And I think, yeah, and I thought that this was like the hot take, like these were their demons they're battling. And what I was going to guarantee you is, you know, when they're in the house at the end fighting for their lives against
those vampires?
The vampires, I would have put money on the fact that when the helicopter shows up, there would have been no dead vampires around. They would have realized it was all in their heads. That's how I would have bet money.
Yeah, but how would the other ones have died? Like down below.
Accidents?
Like for example, like Nick getting hung up like that and getting his neck snapped by like the one like reptilian dude.
Well, then it would do flashbacks to how they actually died.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Like Nick like for example, like
Nick just hung himself or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like just whatever, right? Like, I mean, there was some, like, for example, Eric died in a normal way for me, where Dar was shooting at him. And he died from getting shot. Yeah. So like that one actually could have happened. Like, like falling to their death very well could have happened. Like a lot of that different stuff, right? Because like they're out of their minds and they're like, oh no, like I'm having an episode. Like these things are after me.
Yeah.
So I just feel. Like, or it could have just been Nick died in the explosion. And that whole thing about snapping the neck was just, like, their way of processing Nick dying.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was killed by his demon. Oh, because he was killed by his demon.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle the PTSD. You're telling me that's not a working theory?
It is, but it wasn't. But this
You're
time
right.
you actually know there was actually vampires, so they find the bodies of them, and they're dissecting at the end and stuff.
So the ending is fairly nuts and sad. So, you know, the air support comes and picks you up, and for me at least, Salim went with my...
Yeah, well, that sucks for Salim.
Salim went with my people.
I had a good ending for Salim.
Yeah. So Salim went with my people, so I had everybody survive but Eric. Salim went with my people, and then it cuts to them all being interrogated, and you know none of them are getting out of this.
They're all getting killed. They're
all going to get killed. Every single one of them. Maybe not Ashley Tisdale, because they were still kind of talking to her like a person in mine, because she was alive in mine. Like, and everybody was saying different things. And
Eric might have been okay then, too, if he got through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, because his software failed them, right? So... True. Like, but Ashley Tisdale, they're like, oh, because she's CIA, right? She's not an army commander. Yeah. She's like a CIA field op.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else was just like, you know, grunts, we'll call them, or whatever, right?
Even though they still had working titles like a lieutenant,
yeah,
which is pretty high up in the rankings, they would just be like, you're nothing to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then they even said it, right? They're even like, at the end when they're leaving, they're like, the nice thing about this is we'll just cover it up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, and that's sad because Salim was supposed to go see his fucking son. I wanted nothing but I mean, the truth is we don't know. I mean, they very well could have got out.
No chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, like with only Jason and Salim living, when I finished the fight, Salim's like, I gotta go find my son, and just walks off into the desert sunrise, and then the helicopter drops in, picks up Jason, then you just see Jason getting interrogated. While they have Nick's dead body, they had Eric's dead body, and Ashley's. No, Ashley, because she blew up and just like burned it to death like a crisp.
Oh right, because she shot her. Let's talk about her death. because what you've said about her death is fucking insanity.
Yeah, so basically what happened was when she got bit, because I didn't protect her.
Yeah, because you picked Salim to protect himself.
Yeah. Because I like Salim. Mm-hmm. Even though I didn't know he was in that much danger, whatever. Picked the wrong decision there. Anyway, she gets infected, and she goes from being okay to getting, like, once she's infected, she starts to, like, break down. Kind of like how you notice Clarice, a non-playable character that does get infected and eventually becomes a monster and, like, can kill people. Mm-hmm. Like, she's around a bit. She doesn't really die. Once she realizes she's getting infected and she starts having visions, and it's, like, basically just showing the ship going into the planet. It's saying, like, you're one of us and all this stuff. And she's like, nope. And basically, she takes this white pod you find at the beginning of the game.
The white phosphorus.
Yeah, phosphorus. And she's like, I can't use this. We can't use this unless it's for smoke out, basically. Don't use it on humans. Like, kind of like...
it's a war crime.
Yeah. So what she does, she takes the white phosphorus.
Yeah.
And just shoves it in between her legs.
And just shoots it.
And, like, she's holding like this. And she's, like, puts a gun right to it. And she's like, I'm sorry. She looks at, like, everyone. She's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. And just shoots it and just, like, immediately blows up into, like, flames. And you see her body just, like, burn up and, like, just fall over.
That's insane.
Yeah. So she just commits suicide in front of everyone.
That's buck wild.
But it's kind of a badass death. She's like, I'm out. And
you know what? I don't hate it either.
No, she's like, I'm out. And
well,
just, like,
so I told you, everybody at the end for me had very, like...
Well, I'm curious because, like, it doesn't make me shoot it. Like, I chose to shoot it. Like, I think there's a timer thing, you know, the little bar?
Yeah.
I didn't have to shoot it.
So there's a trophy where she doesn't do it.
Yeah. So I think if I didn't do it, I think eventually she turns into one, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then probably, like, Jason or somebody has to kill her. Or Nick.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did you feel terrible for Nick the entire game?
I mean, you picked some choices that were pretty, like, mean to him.
That guy just... So, like, that guy just got... I think like halfway through the game, I was like, this guy is going through it right now. And the worst part is, my one little comment, well, because she was just like, he's like, I need you to tell your husband. And I was like, I'm not going to tell my husband.
Yeah, that was the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, and then that...
Just put it on ice and, like,
me putting the relationship on ice fucking changed everything. Like, oh my god. Like, he just... It was a whole different story for him. It was insanity. But, like, that's... Like, it was just... He was just... The whole time he was getting shut down, and then when he died, it was, like, super depressing, and, like...
He died for you?
No, when he thought he was gonna die, like... But somehow he lived. He somehow, again, was determined enough to survive the chokehold.
That was also another badass moment, though, when he's like, I'm gonna go down there and do it. I don't care. Did you think about retreating at any point in that, like, little, like, cutscene when you get the retreat option or the push through?
No.
You went push through every time?
Yeah, I went push through every single time.
I wonder what happened if you retreat.
You probably would... A lot of people would probably die because, like, you don't destroy all the vamps.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, so the heartbeat monitor when Nick's...
It's so much easier.
When he's putting the...
Bombs in.
It kind of distracted me, though. Because I was kind of watching the part of the screen where he's stacking the bombs, and I was like...
Imagine you messed up that, like, how quickly you just get
Also imagine
roasted.
You didn't find, or do you have to automatically find those old explosives?
I think you find them automatically.
Okay. Because I wasn't... And, like, we had the different... The other interesting thing is we had the different ancient... I guess it wouldn't be ancient Egyptians because it was...
It was during...
Iraq, yeah.
Yeah. It was some sort of, like, prehistoric,
Yeah,
colony.
some sort of
Colony.
like, like ancient civilization. But we had different not villains, but different zombies, quote unquote, as well.
Well, it just depends on how we chose in that fight sequence.
Because I had the guy with the beads.
And mine had the helmet.
How nuts was it finding the guy with the helmet half alive? Did you find the dude half alive?
And he was like, and then Salim just kills him.
Yeah. So, okay, we've been dancing around this the whole time. The bromance between Salim and Jason. So that character development in this game could be all time for me in terms of character development. It literally could be all time. Like, Salim comes in and he's just like, oh, hey, like, let's do this. And at first you get to pick with Jason, am I going to kill the farmer running away or am I not? And apparently you said if you kill the farmer running away, Salim will shoot Jason in the back and kill him too.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know that for a fact?
I want to put my money, like all my money on that.
I feel like it wouldn't. But the two of them start off, and so like you kind of start. I like Jason, then he starts talking. I'm like, boy, Jason is racist.
But but everyone kind of had their like reason why.
And like
back at that time in that moment.
And he was just, I mean, he thought all Iraqis were bad, right? And that's not the case at all. Like he came in and he was just very like racist, and like actually he has a really good conversation with Nick, where Nick says, "Oh, what? Eventually, what you're gonna?" So he starts talking kind of negatively about like the Iraqi people and their culture, and Nick goes, "Oh, what? You're gonna say that about black people next?" And for me, I was like, fucking bravo to that, Nick. Like, holy shit. Like, that's so good. And you put this guy in his place, right? And he's like, oh, well, 9/11, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, hey, like, no. But then the coolest thing is him and Salim get stuck together, and the two of them bond so well. And just seeing it go from, like, very cautious to, like, tying Salim up initially to doing something else, like, to me it just feels like there's just so much growth in Jason as a character.
Yeah.
And he comes to terms and he realizes that his prejudice is obviously not true, and he actually aligns with this guy. And there's so many parts. There's that one heart-to-heart that goes through, and the heart-to-heart is just beautiful, where Salim and Jason are just talking about all of their biggest regrets. Mm-hmm. And you have to admit, that moment was like, almost brings a tear to your eye. You know?
Yeah, sorry, I was just watching the thing.
He doesn't die, eh?
No, he gets shot, though.
Okay.
Because, like, the ground starts to fall through, and Jason's like, you better not miss. And then Salim's holding it for a second longer than he should to shoot, and all of a sudden the ground starts rumbling, so he shoots, and then it's like it just takes his like arm like through his arm.
Did you get the med pack and you have to pick who, whatever, or you had to like, well, how many people were injured got to wrap themselves up? Did you find the med pack?
No. Okay,
so I found the med pack, and then when you're in the part with the musical,
like circle thing.
Yeah. They have.
Did you have? Sorry, I didn't listen to a single thing you said. Did you have like a super like emotional like breakdown?
I did. And I was just saying that like the conversation with I was just basically saying that conversation between Jason and Salim actually like almost brought a tear to my eye.
I thought it was so well like written.
It was incredibly well written. Like the development between them, and like the sharing of like their darkest regrets and the things that live with them, because Salim was saying the same thing. These are our demons come to punish us. Yeah,
that was the best part, because he's like we should be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we don't deserve to come out of here.
And then they come together and they say, let's blow this fucking place up.
Did you talk about how like Jason was basically like, I was like so high I don't remember anything?
No, yeah. But oh my god, yeah. So Jason goes, I wear this hat about 9/11, but to be honest with you, I was so high at the time.
I was like, I don't remember. I didn't know what happened until a week later.
I didn't hear what happened. I didn't hear about 9/11 until a week later. I was so high. And, like, yeah. So he was just...
He forced himself to go in the army just so he'd get away from his drugs and
everything. And then, Salim comes from, like, his son's going to school and, like, he's being forced to fight.
Well, I like it because they make this character...
Which one?
Salim. They make this character to basically be, like, they're not all bad people. And like they make it's all about realization for these Americans that are all like propaganda here. Like it was nuts.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And yeah, this is like supposed to, again, just like and that's what Jason had coming into this, was he had that really toxic, really racist, really like just inappropriate mindset coming into this. Because I mean, you can kind of talk, and like when you hear Jason talk, like you can tell he's not an educated person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's got the
It's not just the accent, but he's like
I thought you were gonna say the accent.
No. Like, but like for example, just look at Nick. Nick wasn't like that with all the Iraqis. Like Nick wasn't like every one of these people's bad.
He did have a moment though.
Yeah, he did have a moment though.
He's like, forget about him, even though Salim was like the OG.
Exactly. So don't get me wrong, but like that was more. I think that was less of because he's an Iraqi, more of because he those two didn't really bond as much, and he was caring more about his squad, because like when you're in the military, your squad's your everything, right? Like that's what I've
hoorah.
Yeah. Well, that was when Salim says that in the elevator. Did that happen?
Yeah, and he's like, don't say that, basically.
Oh no, that didn't happen for me at all.
No, he said it. He said it once, like, oh, I make me a Marine now, and then he's like, hoorah, and then like Jason's like, don't push your luck, like don't.
That's not the case that happened at all for us.
Yeah.
So,
but he was like joke. It was a joke.
He's
like,
I had
or simplify or whatever.
I had such a good relationship with those two. So like, obviously, Nick escapes for me, and they all get to the elevators. All four of them are running to the elevator, and Salim gets taken. And it's Ashley Tisdale, Jason, and Nick, and they're all standing there, and Jason's like, "Where's Salim? Where's Salim?" And like, just him actually caring so much about Salim for me, I was like, this is heartwarming. Like, this is amazing.
Well, I like that character development too, because they make him this like super racist person, be like, this is my boy now. I ride or die with Salim.
Well, and then you get the choices, Jason, to go save Salim or run away with your team and leave Salim to fight for himself. And obviously I was like, I was all about the bromance. So I was like, you go. And the fight scene with them and the vampires was amazing. Like, and the cool thing is the two of them are like, because they've been fighting together, I guess.
And a lot of people don't get this like cutscene unless
you didn't get it.
No, because like, I didn't have that point. It was just Salim and Jason go up the elevator in silence, basically. Like that was nuts.
No, so basically, he goes back and he's like fighting for him, and like he's like there, and Salim's going off. Like Salim is like he's a vampire killing professional at this point. Salim is like, he knows how to kill him.
Yeah.
And like, so the two of them, and they've been working together all night, so they're fighting together, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, they're like one.
And like the best thing is like finally Jason gets grabbed by one of them, and Salim has the choice to throw his pipe, and you have to like line up the shot, obviously, but you line up the shot, you kill the vampire, it goes down.
Oh, so he like
throws
it, spear
like a spear.
Yeah.
And then Jason's like, you throw that thing at me, you almost killed me, man. And then Salim's like, but you're alive. And they're just like laughing and like hitting each other, and like Salim pulls a spear out, they go back, and then in the elevator ride on the way up,
it's like a crowbar.
Oh, too. Yeah. So it was from the car.
Yeah, I know.
And then like on the elevator ride on the way up, this is the difference is, he taught. So on the way down or whatever is where he first taught Salim about hoorah. So on the way up,
after the fight,
Nick and Jason are talking, and they're like, "We did it! Like hoorah, hoorah!" And then without any context, what's his name?
Salim.
Salim's like, "Hoorah!" And he goes, "Hoorah!" He's so happy. He's like, "Hoorah!" And then like everybody was like, "Yeah, buddy! Like yeah. Let's do it!" Like even Nick, everyone was so happy. It was so heartwarming. I was so happy with it. Like I was like so happy with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was just so real. I don't know. I was just,
you got like dialed into it.
I got dialed into it. I didn't. Let me say it like this though. I didn't feel this way in Little Hope.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't feel this way in Little Hope at all.
That's why I'm surprised you think Little Hope's still number one.
But that's because I didn't think this game was scary at all.
No, but also it was more like a House of Horror type of thing, where it's like not even horror. It was like a action thriller.
Yeah, it was, and like that.
Well, you know what's funny? Do you know how they like characterize this game? They like really touched on like the whole alien versus predator thing, because you have the alien, and then the vampire supposed to be like the predator type of person, and then you have the actual alien parasite. Kind of like if you ever watched the movies, I don't know if you ever watched them. Alien like
comes out the chest, yeah, for sure.
So that was the same thing. Like Ashley had the fucking parasite like that. So they like modeled the game around like Alien vs Predator in this one.
And that's what they said. Like you read that?
Yeah, I read an article on it. Like, so because if you read them, they every single game they made, there was like certain like things they pull from like, pop culture.
We talked about it, like the missing ship, for example.
Yeah, like pop culture trials.
Yeah,
this is Alien and Predator. I think there's another one too. They brought into it somehow.
Like, I think I know. I think I know what it is. That's what I was gonna say. So for me, I don't know if you've ever seen the horror movie As Above, So Below.
I've heard of it.
That is literally what this reminds me of. There's monsters underground.
Yeah, that's
like
sweet.
That's.
I think I think when I read it, it said something
It
like
must
that.
have, because that's like all I remember is there's like all of these like
I'll take a quick look.
it's there's like creatures and they're underground in like Rome and stuff like that, and they're trapped underground, and it's such a good movie. If you haven't seen As Above, So Below, I think it's still on Netflix. It is an incredible horror movie if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, it's the developers looked at several works, including the book At the Mountain of the Madness and the films Predator and The Descendant, to draw inspiration.
Oh,
for
it wasn't As Above, So Below.
No,
interesting.
The Descendant is kind of the same thing. Like it's underground, like cave system thing.
So that's the thing. It's like a horror movie in a cave system, but like so good. The the game. It's like, and then anyways, the ending. I wasn't really a fan of the ending. So let me ask you this, because like I said, I feel like I missed a lot of the lore tidbits because Ashley didn't get infected and all that kind of stuff. I like how we call her Ashley, but it's Rachel, by the way.
Yeah,
it's so
Rach.
funny. So Ashley Tisdale didn't get infected, but like, I don't really understand how they get out. Like, yeah, we did it, and then all of a sudden it's like an eclipse, and they're like, oh no, an eclipse happened. Like was that completely out of the blue for you too?
Yeah,
or was there any context?
No,
on that?
I'm like, oh, just like eclipse was like ready to happen, like.
Yeah,
and
okay.
also I was confused because I'm like, okay, so whenever eclipse happens, these vampires come out and feast on people.
But here's the thing, though, they really can't, though, because eclipses are only.
I know.
So I read this.
That's why I was so confused. I'm like, oh, they just like followed them up still, or
but
something?
this is what I read. When they come up in the ancient like civilization, in the beginning, they came up because the sounds of fighting stirred their emotions. And they were like, you find out that they love drinking the blood of people with high adrenaline.
I found out they were very peaceful.
Initially.
Yeah, but then they got like all
the parasite, yeah.
Ripped up, yeah, like rowdy. And the way they talk is all through music. That's why it was like a music tune.
But now they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, because they're just like, they're all
nuts, yeah. No, but what I was going to say is, so I learned that the reason they came to that ancient temple, they thought it was because they destroyed the old temple. No, that wasn't the case. They heard the fighting between the two armies and the pumping of adrenaline in the blood, and they love high adrenaline blood, which is why they stalk their prey and they don't kill them instantly, to build the adrenaline up in the prey's blood. So then they'll drink it and they enjoy that more.
Yeah.
So basically that's why they came up the first time. And then, like, you have to realize, it's just a bunch of farmers that are on that land before. There was no gunfire there. There was no anything like that. So, like, they didn't get stirred up. But what happened to cause them to open the holes in the ground is the fact that the shootout happened. Yeah. Right? Like the Dar and Salim came in and their team came in. Yeah. Whereas, then they started the shootout, and that's what worked them up.
Triggered the thing.
They heard it underneath. They, felt the adrenaline, and they were like, we're gonna eat tonight, and that's what triggered it. The thing I don't understand is I don't think that they can control an eclipse. To me, that makes zero sense.
No, I think it was just like a random occurrence that the eclipse happened right then, which I didn't like.
That's the one part that bothered me in the whole thing.
Yeah, because I was like, they're like, we did it, and then it was like, oh no, it's like dark. But also I was confused because I'm like, if an eclipse works, like, what happens at night? They can just leave at night and like
no, because they're not bothered. I think they're just slumbering.
Oh, okay.
They slumber for years and years, but like they said it was the gunfire that woke them up.
Okay.
Because like you see them all sleeping in their little pods, but then the gunfire wakes them up and
they come out.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not like those are all like newborn ones. They're all just like sleeping in like a deep sleep until something awakens them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the eclipse was just honestly. It came so out of nowhere that it took away a large chunk of the game's integrity for me. The game was going so well, and then that happens, and I was like...
It's like one final, like, assault. Like, you have to, like, finish one more... You're like, oh, the game's over. And it's like, nope, you have one more assault.
So,
have fun.
I knew it was going to be a pretty, like, gritty fight, because... Did you have the conversation with Nick where he's, like, counting what you guys have left?
Yeah.
So, I was like...
You get to, like, find the bullets in the house...
Yeah, but they didn't have bullets, they had flares.
Yeah.
And then they do the flares with the knives.
Yeah.
Did you know, so I did some reading on that, did you know if you failed one action sequence, that character dies? If you miss a single button or a single whatever...
That person dies
immediately. That character dies instantly. There's no redeeming them, it's over.
Yeah.
So I was like, if you watch my stream, man, I was like this...
You're like, oh, but did you know that going in that if one missed would have killed them?
No, but I could tell. I knew, just judging by the fact that they were like fighting with like knives.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like this is it.
It was still a pretty cool like fight sequence too.
Yeah, but again, that whole part for me.
Did you like in this game how they kept like the swap back and forth, like slow-mo swap to like their like
Yes, I love that.
That was so cool.
They did that in another one.
Was it Little Hope?
No, maybe. Yeah, it was.
But it wasn't as like
it was. I think it was actually just the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I think that adds, because you're like transitioning to the different character, and for me that just builds. I love it.
Yeah.
Question for you: did they do that in Quarry?
No, it's like more like Until Dawn
style.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I'll be playing that tonight. So
then again, like it's been like a week and a half, so I
can't
100% remember. But like I feel like it's been like it'll just like jump to like different like grouping, like when they split up type of thing, kind of like in Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm. I like I said, like I loved it. Like it was, but that one eclipse thing for me, I was like, this is so stupid. Like why are you doing this eclipse? Like that ending. Hear me out. That ending part
Was sick.
No.
Not the eclipse part.
No, like but sorry. So I'm talking. As soon as they get out of that hole, to me the game should have ended there. I think it's so stupid that Ashley Tisdale goes, okay, air support, we need help. They're like, where the hell were you? We're coming now, 5 minutes out. And then it's like, oh no, there's an eclipse. And I was like, what? Then they all start crawling out after them. And I was like, okay, I guess.
Just did like a last assault again.
Also, where's the shepherds?
They got out of there.
Do you think that they all ran away because of the gun?
No, I thought they fell in, didn't they? And they got like murdered.
I thought they only took the soldiers in.
Oh, I thought they fell in too.
Maybe I'm wrong. One thing I want to jump to, unless you have something else to add about the ending.
Well, I was gonna say with the ending, like not after the eclipse. I was gonna ask you, like, what happens when you finish the assault? Does Salim just like be like yeah, I'm with you guys for life? Like, wouldn't even like the same for me? Like, I'm gonna go find my son.
Here's the big question: did you call air support at the beginning of the game or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did too. So no, I guess like basically air support came the second the sun lifted, and Salim didn't even have a choice. Like, but it was nuts because the Marines were like shoving Salim, and then Jason goes, "Get off of him!" It was actually like it was nuts. So they all get in
for
there.
me, like the sun came out and like they're just lying there and they're like holy, they're like that was nuts, and then Salim's like, I gotta find my son. He just like gets up and like half alive, like just like
he doesn't even say bye.
He's like I'm out. He's like, and then Jason's like wait. He's like, brothers for life, have a good life, basically. Like,
did he? I love that.
And they like hug.
I love how in both of our games, Salim and Jason lived, because for me, that's bromance goals, man.
Yeah.
Those two, the switch from this guy's a terrorist, he's like an Iraqi, and then moving from that vibe into being like, I love this guy like a brother. He is a Marine to me now. Like, he is part of my family.
Dude, how nuts was the beginning? Because Jason was even like hitting them. He's like, they're all fucking stupid. They don't understand. It's like, yeah, dude. They don't speak English. Like, just like how they don't. You don't speak their language.
Yeah, like it's like calm down. Like yeah. Jason was
Yeah, it was just like
I accidentally hit that guy in the back of the head.
Yeah, I know. He's like, let me handle this, and just walks him, just boom, right in the back of the head with his gun.
You must have.
At least he didn't shoot him. I thought you were gonna shoot for sure.
You must do. Like, I mean,
I say nothing sometimes, and you like always choose.
Well, that's what. No. That's why Eric died for me, as I chose nothing twice in a row. It was like, I should cut this rope, and then you don't cut the rope.
You saw the sequence of her falling through it, so you were like, oh, if I cut it, she'll die.
That sequence is him falling through it.
Oh.
Yes. So you see her fall and she escapes, and you see somebody else get impaled. That's actually him.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I thought that I don't know. I probably should have thought that one through. But again, like it's those decisions.
He died from getting bit by Clarice for me, so it doesn't really matter. She like ripped his jugular out.
For me, Clarice was such a disappointing character, just due to the fact that every time she would come to the group, my group would just be fine. like there's never any challenge with Clarice.
Did she try climbing the rope after you guys?
No, because they killed her.
Oh, we didn't kill her. So, like, it was me and Jason and Salim trying to leave at the end when we were climbing the rope to get up to the surface.
Yeah.
She just comes out of nowhere and just jumps on the rope. So you have to cut the rope and, like, frantically do it.
So
nuts.
you want to hear what my story was? Salim and Nick go up the rope, and Jason and Rachel Ash Tisdale are standing on the bottom still, and then she climbs up while they're still standing down there.
Clarice?
Yeah. And they're just like, well, let's go, baby. And they just beat the living garbage out of her. And they, like, throw her off the thing, and you see her fall to her death.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they...
No, they just cut the rope, and then she falls to her death.
No, so they go off. Like, that...
It's just weird, because, like, Clarice's character, like, I thought about leaving her. I didn't. Because I'm like, oh, maybe we'll be able to save her.
Did you keep her right to the end?
Yep.
Until
the assault, and then obviously she, like, goes full on, like...
And kills Dar.
She killed Dar and Eric for me.
Could you have saved Eric from that, though?
No, it was like one of those scenes where just like the same thing, like she jumps on top of him and like he's trying to
so
fight.
Basically,
and he just like bites her neck.
So basically, you would have had to have left her in the room before when the doors closed, and then she probably wouldn't have killed him. That's probably
potentially.
And then that probably could have saved Dar too, right? So,
well, I think also like there's other factors that probably would have played into my like decision there. But...
So the other really interesting fact about this that I wanted, this is kind of where I want to circle back to now, is there's like four maybe like tertiary characters. Joey, who gets shot in like the femur at the beginning. Merwin, who basically falls to his death, falls down, gets really hurt, and I accidentally killed Merwin.
Well, I was gonna say about Merwin more than anything else. I don't think you can save Joey. I think Joey just dies.
Yeah, but Merwin can.
But Merwin you can save, and I'm confused because I wonder what would happen if he got all the way to the end with you.
One of my favorite things to do in these games is after I beat it, I check every trophy because it gives a really good insight into like what
other games
what different things could be. And one of the trophies, I don't know what this means, is Merwin fixed the radio.
Like their radio.
Maybe, yeah. So it was like that's one of the trophies. Merwin fixed the radio.
That radio, or wasn't there another radio they were working on too, and they couldn't like use it?
Well, there was a shortwave radio that they were talking to each other on that they could, but like no, because that worked.
But it was like, I don't know.
Because you don't really find a radio. I thought you find a radio at some point, but it's actually like an old school. Right? No, it's an old school like tape recorder.
Okay.
But I think there is a radio at one point.
I thought there was too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I mean that'd be cool. So you could have saved him, but be able to like just held in his mouth until he like suffocated.
I hated his character, to be honest. Though, like I just hated how he comes up and he's just like, he's like, "You want to watch me, baby?" And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Then the best is just making like your mama jokes on like the plane.
I like that because like that just feels like just vibes behavior, right? Like just kind of like, oh, this is pretty sweet, like. The other thing that I thought...
You want hope? Get some more shooters or whatever. It's like, all right, dude.
But here's the wild thing about Merwin is at one point when you're talking to him, you find out he's the technician.
Guy. Yeah.
I was like, this guy seems like an idiot.
Yeah.
But clearly he's very smart because like being the tech guy is like a very important job. So before we go into the ratings, the last thing I want to talk about is the new game coming out. So the new game... is coming out. You said you kind of looked in this, right? Like
we watched the trailer a couple weeks ago, I think too.
So it's called The Devil in Me, and it's the
it's like a sane asylum, basically.
No, it's not. That's why it's so nuts. So after watching,
it's like Saw. Sorry, it's like Saw. Yeah.
So where we were talking aliens and whatever parasites in the old game, in the new game. This one is literally about a guy that just likes torturing people, and you go into his house and like. Did you watch the clip at the end of this game about it? Did you see the clip at the end
when you have the thing coming through, like the knife or whatever?
No. At the end, when you finish House of Ashes, it shows you.
Like in there.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
No.
So basically, it's this guy talking at like what looks to be like a police station, and then he's like talking about how he loves. He goes. Nothing's better than killing. He's like, he goes, you know, what's the best feeling in the world to you? And the guy's like, it's this. He goes, killing's better. Like, it's so creepy. And then it cuts and it's a decaying corpse that's been set up with like these contraptions. So the mouth looks like it's talking to this detective and it's all set up through a tape recorder. It's insane. It's insane.
And it comes out in October, I believe.
Is that it?
Or November. It's one of the two.
Spooktober, or if not Spooktober, we're going in November. It's going to look amazing. The really exciting thing about this, so we talked about this on the last one, an anthology is an X number of games. Like, there's not a set amount in there.
Okay.
So when at the end of that trailer, when the end of that trailer plays, you actually see at the bottom, season 1 finale.
Is the 4th one?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're gonna keep making.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that because those games are worth $40 to me any day of the week. Any day of the week, I'm paying $40 for.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's only 4 hours, but it's so like.
I know.
And you keep playing it constantly, right?
So okay,
let's jump into the rating.
I was gonna say, I think on that note, let's dive in. So I'm gonna start off and characters. I think all we've talked about is characters. But here's my tricky situation. A lot of them, like, I think most of them are good, but I think Ashley Tisdale's character sucked. But, like, the growth with, like, the whole Salim Jason growth is, like, one of the most amazing things.
I'm going to stop you right there, Luke. It's a 5.
It's not a 5 for me.
Oh.
Ashley Tisdale sucked it. I can't do a 5 because the characters weren't perfect. Ashley Tisdale's character sucked.
Yeah, but not all characters are going to be perfect.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, she was still one of the main ones. I think Nick had growth. I think that, like, but, like, Ashley Tisdale's character was just, like...
She was barely in the game, too. I wonder if Eric would have had growth.
I think he would have. He actually didn't seem like a terrible guy.
I hated him.
And I know you're going 5.
I thought he was, like, the worst.
So, background. I'm going to only get... This one, the background didn't get me. Didn't hook me in.
Yeah, felt like it was all the same, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give it, like... I'm going to go 3.5 on the background.
I was going to say 3.
Yeah, just due to the fact that it's just cave systems the majority of the time. Like, I wish there was some, like, cooler...
the one part there was like a destroyed like face like tomb thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool, but like they didn't really expand on like that type of like.
But see, even like it's wild because even Little Hope I gave background a 3.5 in, or sorry, never mind, I gave it a 5. But no, like Man of Medan we gave 3.5 because it just certain games get kind of boring.
Yeah,
like that's why Little Hope kept me interested. Is it was different buildings, different experiences in the different buildings.
Yeah,
jumping back and forth in time. This was just. Walls, and
then there'd be an open area sometimes.
And then it switched to kind of that like ship at the bottom at the end, but still that ship was kind of like okay, it just looks like a bunch of like rocks.
Yeah.
Music on this one, they added some music to this and it really upset me. So I'm gonna have to give it.
What was the music?
It was just like like music, just like filler background music at certain points.
Yeah. You want to talk about that whistle that bothered you so much?
Well, no, I like that though. I forgot about it.
Wasn't it driving you nuts though for a bit? Like, who's whistling?
Who was it?
I thought it was just like a random soldier for the most part.
But it was happening in multiple places.
Yeah, I thought it was like just like the same guy was just a part of the group and he's just whistling.
It creeped me out. I thought it had. I liked that.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't annoyed.
It seemed like you're like, why is this whistling happening?
I was scared. That's my point. I was like, why is this whistling happening? What the fuck is going on? Who's whistling? Why do I keep hearing this no matter where I go? And it's the same tune. It's the same tune. But, like, they added the music in here. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, because this game, for me, felt more like an action survival game versus a horror survival game. I wouldn't clump this in as a horror game, personally.
Yeah, it was like a thriller.
It was like a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
Sci-fi can be horror. Don't get me wrong. But, like, for example... I can't think of a single jump scare in this one.
They teased it a few times. It didn't happen.
I can't think of.
Oh, the one that where it was like it was such a like what's gonna happen is when like Celine goes to like inspect the body and you're pulling off like rubble from this like vampire and you're like
yeah.
You're like, I was so surprised
because you saw the hand move at first and you're like okay here it comes. But anyways, what are you gonna give music? Sorry, we're talking. I forgot. We're switching music. It's now music
and sounds.
Oh,
what'd you just give it?
4.
I don't know.
I still think there was a lot of silence.
I think it was still good.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 3.5.
Okay.
Wasn't like the other ones.
Now this is going to be an interesting one. Replayability.
I think there was way more like potential like endings for the other one too, for sure. So I would love to play this one again. I'd probably give it a 2.5.
Oh, that's it?
Maybe a 3.
I'm actually going to go 4 on this one. Like, because after reading, I missed so much lore. I missed a whole storyline with Rachel getting the parasite. And, like, I missed so much. Yeah. So, like, I really want to see where that ends up. I think there's a huge replayability factor on this one for me. Like, I
wonder
think
if you can save Dar.
I know we talked about that. I don't know.
I would like to know that. I'm sure there's like different ways to play it perfectly where you can save every single character. But Dar just seemed like he was so set on like everyone dying.
So we have to jump into the story. And the story for me, I want your thoughts on this because I'm a bit confused. I liked it, but I missed what feels like so many important aspects of the story just because Rachel didn't get the parasite.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that, in a way, affected my experience because I had to go on and Google afterwards. And secondly, that eclipse bothered the hell out of me. That whole finale
But that's not
ending.
really part of the story.
It is, though.
Like the actual story? I guess.
Yeah, because they get out, the eclipse happens, they have to fight in that house. I hated that whole part.
Yeah, okay.
That whole part for me, I was like, what is this? But the rest of the story was really good. I actually loved following those explorers. I loved that. It gave me Indiana Jones vibes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think, honestly, this was the most dialed of the 3 games I was. Like, I was so invested in the story. But you missed out on some of the key factors.
That's what I'm saying, and the ending bothered me.
Honestly, I'd say this story for me is like a 4.5.
Okay.
Like, I just think I really enjoyed it. What did I give the other 2?
You gave Man and Medan. We gave Little Hope 5
each.
Yeah.
I'll give it this a 5. I thought it was.
And
really
you gave the other one 4.5.
I think this is a 5 because I think I was way more dialed in this one compared to the other 2 games entirely. The story was just very like interesting to me.
This one for me though, hear me out. I'm on the same page where the story really lined up. The thing is, like, Little Hope, the ending felt better for me in terms of like that weird
understanding
why. That weird eclipse makes no sense. Maybe I missed. Here's the thing. Maybe there is a logical reason behind the fact that eclipse happens in this game, in the lore, but we just missed it. We didn't see the thing.
It just seemed like the eclipse was like, oh, you thought you were done, loser? Have fun doing
this.
But
what causes
now.
it?
Yeah, I know.
Like, is it just luck?
I think it was just unlucky
bullshit.
thing.
That's bullshit.
You look it up.
I know. I'm so mad. I'm giving it a 3.5.
What? Would you give Man of Medan?
5. No, 2.5.
Oh my god.
3.5. Oh, you want to hear something really exciting? Same score. All in all, we're going the same score.
Again?
Yes.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah? Oh my god, that's crazy. We're back-to-back weeks on the same score on our Gameaholic score. Okay, so we both, Colin, gave this a 7.8 out of 10, which I think is so reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, 7.8 is great. Like, this game, how much... You bought it before it went on sale, right? $40?
Yeah, I think so.
How worth is even this for $40? Huge, right? Like, huge value.
Yeah, it was amazing value.
So, like, I think this game is a definite buy. I think sort of... I don't want to look yet, but when we finished our next review, which is going to be The Quarry, do you want to pull all these reviews up and see kind of our rankings?
What had the best?
Which had the best, which had the worst?
Sure.
So we'll have a full comprehensive list of our rankings. Maybe we'll make a Instagram post about it. I'll put something together and we'll pull up like what our rankings look like.
Yeah.
As always, I think that's anything else that you kind of want to say. You're kind of buried into that bad boy.
I want to know the eclipse happened.
There's probably no reason. I don't think now's the time to gander.
Next, things that make no sense in House of Ashes. I guarantee that'll come up.
But anyways, like it's so basically we're gonna be releasing this pod in a couple of weeks. So the next one that you'll see on Apple Music and Spotify is going to be our Little Hope podcast. The one on Man and Medan, which was the free game on PlayStation in July, is out now. So if you copped the game but haven't played it yet, jump in, listen to our review. See if you want to play it. We do talk full spoilers, so maybe avoid that a little bit. But just in terms of what's going on. So other than that, as always, thank you so much for tuning in till the end. If you are following us on Twitch, thank you so much for watching us live stream this. You'll be able to catch these episodes on the streaming sites in the next couple of weeks. Make sure that you give us a follow so you don't miss the next time we go live. Also, there's so many things to plug now. Our YouTube channel's kicked off, so if you want to watch our live video again, we are now on YouTube. My streaming's kicking off. I'm trying to stream about 3 to 4 times a week, so I'm pretty invested on that. You can find that it's at Luminium13. However, if it's easier, go to our link tree on our Instagram or our link tree through Twitch, and you can find my streaming site. If you're interested in the Quarry, that's going to be starting in probably half an hour. So, again, thank you for tuning in for our Supermassive Summer event. We have one final game left. Next week is all about the newest game, The Quarry.
Peace.
I was like, when's that? Is that not coming?